Halloween night has a way of bringing people together. Costumes, candy, music, and parties. It's the one time a year when even the quietest neighborhoods feel alive. That year, my friends and I got invited to a big Halloween bash at a house near the edge of town. Everyone said it was the party to be at. Costumes required, drinks flowing, and loud music. Sounds like the place to be. When we got there, the house looked incredible. Orange light strung across the porch, fake cobwebs stretching across the yard, pumpkins carved into perfect grinning faces. Inside, the place was packed. People in costumes filled every room. Zombies, superheroes, and witches. You couldn't tell who anyone really was, and that was kind of the point. And that's when I saw it. A mask. It wasn't like the cheap plastic ones you find at Walmart, though. This one was different. Old. It was hanging on the wall in the hallway by itself, like some kind of centerpiece. The thing was pale, smooth, with hollow black eye holes that seemed to follow you when you walked past. Everyone at the party kept joking about it, daring each other to put it on. Of course, one guy did. He slipped it over his face, posed for a couple of pictures, and laughed about it. But after a few minutes, he stopped laughing. He couldn't take it off. At first, we thought he was just messing with us, staying in character, you know. But when we pulled at it, the mask wouldn't come off. That's when he started screaming. Not muffled, not playful, real screaming. He clawed at the mask, ripping at the edges until his fingers bled. Someone yelled to call 911, but before anyone could react, he froze. Dead still. The music was blasting. People were still drinking, but the hallway had gone silent. And then he turned. His hollow eyes stared at us, empty but aware. He tilted his head, like he was studying us. Then he walked, glided, through the crowd. The people in the living room laughed, thinking it was a bit, but I swear I saw his hands, pale, stretched, no longer human. By the time the cops showed up, the house was wrecked, windows smashed, furniture overturned. Dozens of kids swore they saw someone in a white mask chasing them through the yard. But the guy who put it on, he was gone. The police found the mask, though, sitting on the floor in the hallway, pale, waiting. No blood, though, and no sign of the guy who wore it. And every Halloween since then, people swear that they see the mask again, not hanging on the wall, but out there, in the crowd, watching, waiting for the next person that's bold or stupid enough to put it on. Halloween night was always big in our town. Decorations, parades, contests for the best pumpkin carving. People prided themselves on putting pumpkins out weeks before Halloween, carving them into works of art. But one year, something was different. Kids in the neighborhood started whispering about the Carver. They said if you left your pumpkin outside overnight without lighting a candle inside, he'd come for it. Not just take it, but fix it. The first time I heard about it actually happening was at Miss Geller's house. She had put a normal, happy little pumpkin on her porch. The next morning, it had been carved again. The smile was gone. Now it had a twisted frown, jagged teeth, and eyes so deep that they almost looked burned through. Probably some teenager playing a prank. But then more pumpkins started changing. Every night, across different blocks, new corrections showed up. Always the same style. Long cuts, ugly mouths, and hollow stares. Whoever it was would make the pumpkins look way more scary than the owner had originally carved. Halloween night came. My friends and I were walking home late, pillowcases full of candy, and that's when we saw him. Not a guy in a costume, not some drunk teenager. A man, tall and hunched, dressed in overalls that looked wet and rotten, carrying a sack with things that were bulging out of it with weird shapes. He had a long carving knife in his hand and a pumpkin for a head, lit from within, smoke curling out of his jagged grin. We froze as we were walking on the sidewalk as we saw him put a pumpkin down on someone's porch. He didn't knock. He didn't say a word. He just bent down and carved, fast but deliberate, until its expression twisted into the same horrible face we had seen before. Then slowly, he turned towards us. The glowing eyes flickered. The grin widened. We bolted, dropped candy everywhere. We didn't care. Behind us, we could hear the scrape of his knife dragging across the pavement. He wasn't running, though. He didn't have to. When I finally made it home, panting and terrified, I dropped my bag of candy on the porch, and that's when I saw it. A pumpkin. Not mine. Not my family's. Carved into a twisted, jagged face. And it was smiling right at me. Every neighborhood has that one house that goes overboard with Halloween decorations. You know the kind. Fake cobwebs, multiple fog machines, and lights synced with creepy music. But there was one house in our town that didn't bother with all that. No lights, no music, no skeletons on the lawn. Just pumpkins. Dozens of them. Every inch of the porch, every step up to the door, even along the sidewalk. Pumpkins that had faces carved into them that didn't look goofy or fun, but looked too detailed, too real. Each one had a different expression, like snapshots of people in pain, caught mid-scream, or terrified of something. Everyone said the man who lived there was just some Halloween-obsessed weirdo. Nobody ever saw him during the rest of the year, just October. And it was always pumpkins, a lot of them. On Halloween night, a group of us dared each other to knock on his door. It was around 10 p.m. when most trick-or-treaters were heading home. The street was quiet, except for his porch, which was glowing orange. We walked up the stairs, careful not to trip over the many pumpkins. My friend Mike knocked on the door. There was no answer. He knocked again, harder. That's when we all heard it. Not from inside the house, from the pumpkins. Whispering. Dozens of voices, all at once, hissing words we couldn't understand. We froze. Then one of the pumpkins, carved with a face that looked just like Mike's, started to drip something dark from its mouth. That was enough. We ran. We didn't stop until we were blocks away. The next morning, the house looked the same. Porch lined with glowing pumpkins. But this time, one of them looked just like me. And I swear I could hear my voice coming from it. There's a story that people tell every Halloween in my hometown. Not the fun kind. No silly dares or fake jump scares. The kind that makes you wonder if you're safe in your own home. They say that there's a house at the edge of town that only shows up once a year, on Halloween night. It looks old, but it looks like somebody lives there. The porch light comes on. Pumpkins glowing with candles. Curtains drawn just enough to suggest that somebody's inside. If you knock, someone always answers. But there's a catch. It doesn't matter what you say. The house answers back in your voice. A group of kids tried it years ago. Just a dumb dare. They walked up, knocked, and one of them shouted, "Trick or treat." From inside, they heard the exact same voice echo back, except stretched, distorted, like it had been dragged across broken glass. "Trick or treat." The kids laughed at first. They thought it was some weird speaker trick. They kept shouting things, stupid stuff. "Give us candy," one yelled, and the house answered, "Give us candy." Then one of the kids tried something different. He whispered his name, and the house whispered it back. That's when they realized the house wasn't copying. It was learning. The last kid, trying to prove it was fake, said something nobody else knew. He whispered his address. The house said it back, then added, "I'm already here." After that, they ran. They never went back to that house. But a week later, the kid that said his address to the house disappeared. There was no break-in, no forced entry, and no signs of struggle. His parents swore they heard him calling from inside the walls days after, his voice muffled though, repeating the same words over and over again. That kid's parents figured out who owned the house, bought it, and tore it down, so there was nothing but an empty lot. But every Halloween, a new house appears in the same spot. Porch light on, pumpkins glowing, waiting for somebody to come. And if you're stupid enough to knock, don't say your name, don't say your address, because it won't just answer back. It'll come for you. Hey, Spooky Sooner here. This concludes Halloween 2025. So, as you can see, I obviously like Halloween and like telling stories about it. It's fun. So, what we got going on, college, road trip horror stories, and Yandere Part 5. And then I want to work on some Christmas stories for December. So, stay tuned for that. If you have a story that you want me to read, reach out to me at spookysooner7964@gmail.com and send me your story. Hope you guys have a good Halloween. It's tomorrow night. Hopefully I load this on the 30th. But have fun, stay safe, and stay spooky. Carrying a sock. When we got there, the house looking... orange lights strung across the porch. Orange lights strung up a push. That's when Heejung came downstairs. Halloween night. Hold on. Kids in the We froze on the sidewalk. Look. We froze on the sidewalk as he... Fast but deliberate. Pumpkins carved into like it had been dragged across like it had been trick or treat. Trick or treat. Trick or treat. Trick or treat. His parents swore they heard him calling from inside the walls days His parents swore they called him. His parents swore, oh my god.